Welcome back to Trollbot Studios, and it is me, your host, Trollbot.EXE. And today, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 best Showa Godzilla films. Now you're confused on what exactly the term Showa means, so allow me to school you. The term Showa refers to anything in Japanese history from 1926 to 1989, because that's how long the guy ruling over Japan, Emperor Showa, served as emperor. And unlike over here, usually it's emperor for life. Now, even though the final Godzilla film to be released in the Showa era was 1984's The Return of Godzilla, The Return of Godzilla is considered part of the Heisei era, as it shares continuity with films in that era. So in Godzilla terms, the Showa era is from 1954 with the original film, all the way to 1975 with Terror of Mechagodzilla. Now we got the basics underway, let's get into the video. So, at number 5 is 1965's Invasion of Astro Monster, the 6th entry in the Godzilla series. Invasion of Astro Monster is the second Godzilla film to feature King Ghidorah, after Ghidorah the three-headed monster, but I feel like it's the more well-written of the two. While Ghidorah the three-headed monster was kind of a slow burn, Invasion of Astro Monster was fast-paced. I guess for that film, Ishiro Honda wasn't wasting no time with that. The only real problems I have with this film are that some things get confusing, but even then that's explained with dialogue. So, on to number 4. 1975's Terror of Mechagodzilla. Terror of Mechagodzilla is the second movie featuring Mechagodzilla. Wow, a lot of seconds here. It is also the final movie in the Showa era of Godzilla films, the final movie directed by Ishiro Honda, and also the final Godzilla movie to not have Godzilla's name in the title. What places it above Invasion of Astro Monster is that Terror of Mechagodzilla has better action. And also, this is outside the movie, Terror of Mechagodzilla is what everybody refers to it as, whilst Invasion of Astro Monster is referred to as either Invasion of Astro Monster or Monster Zero or Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. And technically, the US name for this film is Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, since Invasion of Astro Monster, the title we all now refer to it as, was the title of the film in Turkey. Moving on, the main problem I have with Terror of Mechagodzilla is that the plot can get even more confusing, as there are scenes that required other people to explain them for me. And by other people, I mean YouTubers to explain them. Mainly the channel Big Action Bill, who mainly talks about Godzilla and football. And also, while it does feature recurring actors, such as Katsuhiko Sasaki from Godzilla vs. Megalon, and Akihiko Hirata from the first Godzilla film, they do not play the characters they play in said films, which are supposed to take place in the same continuity. Hirata has done roles on other Godzilla films such as Eberhard the Deep and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which the latter I will talk about later. Number 3, however, is 1955's Godzilla Raids Again. Unlike the previous 2 Godzilla films, which were directed by Ishiro Honda, this Godzilla film is directed by Motoyoshi Oda, and while the music for the previous 2 films was done by Akira Ifukube, the music for this film was done by Masaru Sato, who would go on to do the music for most of the Godzilla films directed by Jun Fukuda. Overall, this film is actually pretty good. It does keep the tension from the original film, albeit to a much lesser degree. It is also the only Godzilla film in the Showa era to feature a character from a previous film. That character being Kyohei Yamane from the original Godzilla film. Where else he would be, since Godzilla Raids Again is the second ever Godzilla film. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Terror of Mechagodzilla is the 15th Godzilla film. Yeah, there are a lot of these things. Also, I really like the battle between Godzilla and Anguirus in this film, as the fight footage was left at normal speed instead of slowed down like usual. The special effects director, Eiji Tsuburaya, looked at the footage and said, "Ain't bad." I feel like he made the right decision, as the monster action looks kind of unsettling, as you get to see what the monster should move like instead of the traditional big and slow approach. I suggest checking the film out. Next one. Coming in at number 2 is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from 1974. Also the last Godzilla film to be directed by Jun Fukuda, and the last Godzilla movie with music done by Masaru Sato. This film is great. The fights in this film are amazing. Like, the special effects director Teruyoshi Nakano must have been on his A game during this period. From the pyrotechnics to Mechagodzilla's transformation sequence to just everything in between. Also, unlike numbers 4 and 5, the human plot isn't confusing at all, and surprisingly simple, given that this was released for the Toho Champion Festival. Just like number 4, I can chalk it up to being aimed for kids. Also, the movie knew what its target audience was, that being kiddies. Unlike its sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla, which tried to balance being for kids and adults, but it just missed the mark. And it also had to compete with The Godfather Part 2 in Japan. I guess that's the reason why it got the lowest ticket sales out of any Godzilla film. All around, it's a great watch. And on to number 1, which shouldn't be a surprise. Number 1 being 1954's Godzilla. What may surprise you is that it was a pretty close call between Godzilla 1954 and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. But while Godzilla 1954 special effects kind of faltered compared to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, its plot more than made up for it. The human drama is great, like really great. And while being compelling, you can still understand what's going on. So it perfectly balances between the two. That being why Godzilla 1954 is above the rest. So that's the end of the countdown. And also, I'm gonna share you some missing details from my Surviving Southwest video. Alongside everything that happened, an airport official told everybody that while their luggage could go home, they couldn't. So they had to sit there and wait and get another flight or possibly drive home and go to the airport to pick up their stuff. Luckily for me and my family, we kept our stuff right with us. Yay! Also, when we were asking airport officials on the next flight home, one airport official offered to fly us to Tampa, which would have gotten us nowhere because we were stuck in Orlando. So yeah, these two details should add even more fuel to the fire that is Surviving Southwest. So, that's the end of the video. And until next time, later, fools.